Hello everyone. So this is, as I guys told you, I have like a huge stack of recordings that I've been meaning to record for a long time, and I've recorded quite a few of them already. Actually all of them, because this is the last one of the stack. You guys might not notice any delay in the uploads because this is going to be uploaded like 6 weeks from the day of recording. So by now I probably have had new good games I can share with you guys. But anyways, the game is going to be Ghost Lake. I'm going to be playing as my favorite Gaia in the pocket. And I actually start with 4 Aurochs, that's rare. I have like seen this only 2 or 3 times maybe that you start with so many Aurochs. But anyways, my teammate is gonna be Olympus Wrath. The game level is between 1600 and 1650, I think. It's so hard to judge. It's kind of a mixed bag. Olympus Wrath and Barangella are around 1600. Same for Sherlock. But the rest is 1650 or better, like Eugeneni, who is of course a very good player, also known as my Ice's best god. But anyways, let's stop talking about all that and let's jump into the game. This guy is going for the Aurochs, Olympus Wrath, receiving some trees from me, with a bit of distance from the TC because I don't want it to be forest fired by blue. And he's gonna be playing as the Zeus. And on the other flank of my team it's gonna be OG Nanny. I hope I pronounced that right. But anyways, it's gonna be OG Nanny playing as his favorite Isis, going for the Aurochs as well. And let's have a look at the opponents. So it's gonna be Mapley, which is a pretty decent Odin player, from Olympus, pretty good clan as well. And he is going to go for the Aurochs as well. Did he actually use the Great Hunt yet? Yes he did, but on what? I'm kind of thinking maybe on the goats actually. That would make sense, because he only has 3 Aurochs so far, and he can't really have eaten one at this point by now. Or maybe he has. I don't know, but at least he didn't use the Great Hunt on that. I'm pretty certain of that. Okay, so I just kind of skipped this one. It's going to be Barangella playing as Sarah. A decent player. His performance is quite inconsistent at times. Sometimes he plays really well and sometimes a bit less. But let's see how it's going to be going for him this time around. And the last player on this team, it's gonna be FNX Sherlock, pretty decent 1600 aura player, not much better than that, around 1600 I think, and he's gonna have a very tough time, and he's gonna be realizing that too, as soon as he's gonna be realizing that he is having to face the best player in here. That being said, he does have the civ advantage of course, as the Oranos versus the Isis. So what am I doing at this moment? As you guys can see, I have 2 on gold, 2 on wood, so that is going to be meaning that I'm gonna go for the archaic TC. Probably this one. This one is quite nice, I think. Oh no, the hunt is actually a bit further, or rather the gold is actually a bit further than I thought, with the gold, with the wood line in between, so actually not that great. Maybe there are some... This is also quite far. Maybe there is something in secret that is still hidden in here that could be very nice. So it seems like Olympus Wrath just realized that he's going to be facing the Odin. Let's see how he's going to be doing in that matchup. And I'm just going to be heavily booming probably. Having a nice amount of goats. 9 here. 6 for my Isis best god. And not too much going on. Let's see what the opponents have scouted right about now. Oh wait, that's not the opponents. Let's look at this. Okay, so he does know that he's going to be playing against OG Nanny. He is probably not too happy about it, even though he has the civ advantage. So he may need some help by the raw player eventually. I'm kind of thinking. Now I'm recording it. It was a nice game, but I'm kind of thinking that it might be slightly imbalanced, because me and Mapley are equal, Barangella and Olympus Wrath are probably equal, and this is not equal, so it might have been quite off balance, probably. Okay, so if going for the archaic TC, dropping the forest near it. And I'm thinking that I might go heavy on farms this game. Especially... Well, let's see what I'm going to be doing in the build order. I'm kind of thinking, because this is a recent game, and what I've been recently doing with the Ra, whenever I can, I go heavy on wood during the advance to classic, and I go very heavy on the farm, so I can benefit from the rain quite a lot. Okay, so the centaur is coming in. Is there anything extraordinary in the advances? Not really. Anything is really standard so far. Probably expecting what's it called, the Sphinxes from Ojinani. He's actually not advancing yet. Oh wait, I should switch to his perspective. Yeah, he's going for Sphinxes, okay. For the eclipse, that makes sense. Kinda what is expected from Isis. Forest fire here. And actually, the TC managed to be still in range of the forest fire. It didn't receive a whole lot of damage, but it is kind of unfortunate, of course. That was not actually expected by me. I mean, there is a huge gap here, actually. So that was not expected, and I didn't realize this in game. But the damage is quite little. So I'm thinking he didn't lose any villagers. Under half HP was gone. So I think he's just gonna be just fine. So I have 3 on wood, so quite heavy on wood actually at this stage of the game. So it seems like I'm going for the farms, making the first one as we speak. And just 1 barracks. Of course, them having the Odin and the Oranos, I should definitely be expecting some kind of aggression maybe. So what's going on here? A bit of raiding on the gold. And what is being done here? Okay, so the centaurs are trying to deal with the TC being built by Berengella. Quite nicely played by Olympus Raft. This is not gonna happen. But right now more are coming in, and the Herser and the Priest are gonna deal with these centaurs quite nicely. So this TC will be coming up without any issues. Okay, so no, or just 1, maybe 1 villager loss for Urjanani so far. Quite nice raiding here by Sherlock. It is gonna cost him, but this downtime is quite something for the ISIS player. I think he doesn't have much gold right now. Actually still 300, so he might still be pretty much fine. I'm hunting here kinda safely. How many farms do I have at this stage? Just 2. And is he readying up to a rain just yet? Okay, he is right now, so he's a little bit slower, probably because of the delays. Well, actually, that's not too much of an excuse, really. He's just a bit slower. So a bit of aggression going on this part of the map, which I managed to defend off just fine pretty much with the hero in there. So I'm pretty much fine for the moment. And I'm readying up for more farms at this point, having 3 at the moment. Hopefully a 4th is getting in. And Ojanani is going up heroic, I think. Not yet, but he should be soon. He should be clicking it in right now, pretty much. Yes, Nefties, as expected, pretty much. Okay, so the centaur raiding doing pretty good job. 2 villagers killed, and he's gonna be running away, and that's gonna be 2 centaurs surviving and 2 villager kills. He's doing a pretty nice job on the raiding, actually. He didn't repair the TC. Maybe he should have dropped like 1 villi on there to repair it. You never know what will happen in the later stages. Okay, careful. The Pharaoh is there. Ooh, that's gonna be some damage. Okay, he's gonna be just fine. And Berengella is still not raining. Is he actually? He does have a nice amount of farms actually at this point. What's happening on this side of the map? Not too much actually. Let me have a look at our perspective again. So not too much happening. These villagers are not getting harassed. Luckily for me, gonna make it a lot easier. Grabbing a forward TC here by Olympus Raft. Let's see if he's gonna get away with that. He does have the ceasefire, of course, if anything goes wrong. That is, of course, the reality. Okay, so at this point I'm having 6 farms. So as soon as the rains comes in, I'm gonna be quite nicely ready. With even the flood control already, so I'm gonna be swimming in food as soon as the rain kicks in. So a bit of a manner here just to keep my villi safe, and going forward here. Carnivore right now being casted. And did he get any kills with these centaurs? Just the one, but they add up, so he is killed quite a bit by now. Maybe this guy is actually better than 1600, I don't know. Really no idea. I don't really play with him that often, really. Okay, so more villager kills, and he's gonna be running away without any kind of problem. Me building up here quite nicely with the barracks, so it seems like I decided to go with him against the blue player. And that's probably because I was kind of expecting that Nanny would be pretty much fine against Sherlock. I was trusting him to win that matchup, even if the pink player would come to assist him. And since I know that Mapley is quite a solid player, I thought my green player might need some help eventually. So raiding party coming in, maybe to me this time around. So more farms for me coming up, and is the rain actually gonna be happening? It seems like Barangella is very slow this game. He should have rained like by now a long time ago. He's even having the food to advance, so not sure why he didn't rain earlier to boost up his advance time. Does he have plow and husbandry actually? He does. And a bit of raiding going on here on my villies here. Killing one, that's quite a loss for me. And more raiders coming in from blue as well to maybe kill this manor and kill the villies inside. So Taya coming up for both of us at pretty much the same time. So let's see what's going to be happening. The Murmillo are coming in, which can deal with the Terma quite nicely. Just a few I made there, and that's going to mean that I'm just fine for the moment, really. And these guys quite nicely checking this DC, knowing what's going on. Bit of a fight in here, and he's going to be running away as he's afraid to lose everything. And the villies are probably returning back to their work. Although this one is willing to fight from the looks of it. Okay, so at this point I should be alarmed that maybe something will be happening near this DC. Is he actually moving forward at this point with something? No builders just yet. So he may be just wanting to clear that out, nothing more. Okay, so more raiding on Ojinani so far. But he is having a pretty decent army already at this point. Let's have a look at his perspective. Having the second TC up by now, doing pretty nicely. Quite nice army. He might actually want to mix in some siege towers, as he's right now doing. Okay, so he's going to be pretty much fine. A bit of raiding on the gold, but with our armies being close, I can't really imagine that this is going to be too much of a success for the blue player. But this is a nice... That's a nice locust. He should have actually... Oh no, this army was coming in, okay. So he killed like 3 or 4. Not too much, but it's gonna cost him quite a lot of downtime. Let me have a look at his resources. Oh, he's actually quite high on the gold, so he's just gonna be fine. The downtime is not too much of a problem at this point. Okay, so I'm taking the settlement here. The Sturma might have a different idea about it, but with the Murmillo coming in, I should be pretty much fine. And this palace is gonna come up no matter if you have a few horses there. And I should be checking this perspective at this point. This part of the map. And his Migdal is not gonna come up, I'm thinking. It is not gonna come up at all. He's having some axemen here, but they are not really as well upgraded as my Murmillos. And they were quite outnumbered, so that's... Okay, so the Migdal might come up, but that's huge cost for the teal player. So pretty well played by Olympus Raft there. At the same time, it seems like Eugenani is pushing forward. And it seems like Sherlock actually quite nicely prepared himself. Does he have masons? He doesn't. That could actually help him quite a lot with these siege towers. He should definitely get masons. because he quite nicely spammed all the buildings around here. Maybe a little bit more towers would be nice. Okay, so this TC is gonna come up. And more units coming in here. But he is just gonna suicide him in, really. Nothing too serious. Okay, so the Ancestors Eclipse is coming up with 2 Scorpius, man. Sadly, one of them died. So that's unfortunate. But this is gonna be quite a big problem for Sherlock. Where is his army at, actually? There is no army. Okay, so that's gonna be a pretty big problem for him, I'm thinking. And on this side, it seems like I was wanting to push somewhat forward. But it is not gonna be happening at the moment. I do have the Atlas, so I might want to use it on this very soon. Should be careful about that bird there. Okay, so let's have a look at our perspective again. Still no rain, by the way. I haven't prepared for ages. Okay, so this will not come up, and I should retreat right after, because this is not a position that I want to be fighting, really, with a few axemen in there mixed in. The Frost Giant being quite a problem. Okay, so I'm retreating now. Quite a lot of losses, but I did prevent the hill fort from coming up. And he's gonna have to go for a new one. And the implode is gonna catch everything. There is no escaping this for him. I think everything is gonna be dead, even if it would run away. And Sherlock getting frosted here. The frost is gonna save him for the time being. So that's nice for him. Let's switch back to this side. And that's gonna be all the army gone except the myth unit. So this is gonna mean that I'm gonna be moving in right now. Olympus Rav going for a bit more raiding. He's just gonna be thinking that I'm fine here by myself, pushing on the blue player with not having any army up yet. Okay, and how about him? Also not, so I should be pretty much fine with the champion Mermellos with Bite of the Shark so far. And I should definitely get some army ups in at this point, I think. Not yet though. I definitely do have the resources, so I should be aiming to do that very soon. Okay, so I might actually want to be taking this TC. And this Migdol did not come up in the end. That is quite huge. And Sherlock is still barely holding on. He still has the 2 TCs though. So he might be fine for the moment. But this might be... my Isis best god might be wanting to take this one. He doesn't have to he does. Okay, he's going for that. That's gonna establish a nice position for him. And I'm doing the exact same thing here. Just pushing here to buy me some time to get this TC and get the 4-2 advantage up. And for some reason Berengella is not actually having a third town center. Looking at the resources, that is definitely a mistake. Doesn't seem to be his best game this time around. Okay, so this Argus is probably gonna be lost. And at this point, as I said, I'm just buying time really to get the TC up. Even though this might not be the best fighting angle really. I seem to be winning it nonetheless with these superior upgrades and the birds and all. Okay, so I should be retreating now before the losses start kicking in. And am I yet finished with that TC? Dionysus coming up. He was actually very long in Classic. Okay, so that's interesting. I might want to be getting fortified town centers actually. Okay, so the armory ups are coming up now. And if they don't get any upgrades of themselves, that is gonna mean quite big trouble very soon for them. Okay, so still on the Centaur raiding. I think he might, Olympus Rav might have advanced a bit quicker actually. Because he didn't make that many units. And he didn't lose any units really, so he could have been quicker I feel. But it's gonna be fine as I quite nicely established myself here. And Boulder is coming in. And as you guys can see, the Fire Giant was mostly the reason that I decided to be retreating. I'm making Argus for the Fire Giants. Of course the Lampade is a bit better for that, but I just like Atlas for the implode really. And Argus are quite nice units too actually. Their attack is decent, their armor too. It's just the hit points that And the instant still kill is of course also very nice. It's just hit points really that hold the Arcus back. So quite nicely forward establishing here from Ogineni. He definitely doesn't want it to move too fast from the looks of it. Definitely seems that way. He wants to be taking his time building up because he knows that he's gonna have the upper hand anyways. That's kind of like, I feel, that's something that you see many good 1v1 players in TG seem to do. They like to take their time. They know they're ahead, and they just like to take their time. Their opponent is not going to come back anyways. Well, I feel that TG players rather keep pushing usually. They tend to not wait, because they know that their teammates might be losing in the meantime, so it's kind of 1v1 behavior, but in this case it's fine since this side is winning too. I do wonder where is the military presence of my friend here. He is building up, but where is his units? I don't really see any units from him. But this bronze, I hear like 2 hippocans. But this bronze is definitely quite nice for me. Being on only copper so far. Might be wanting to get in a bit more. Okay, I'm doing that right now. And this hill fort might come up. Okay, Sherlock is gonna be in pretty big trouble defending himself. He doesn't really have any army anymore to defend himself with. And the rain finally came up, so my food is gonna go to very serious amounts. And how is his food actually? Also very serious. I'm not sure why he picked the rain then. Did he anticipate any kind of god power then? Maybe he wanted to delay the Son of Osiris for a bit. Maybe. But it definitely screws his teammate too, because he can't drag. He can't drag because of the rain. And Barangella doesn't have any upgrades. I don't think he's playing that well this game actually, because he does have huge amount of resources in the bank, and he's not getting any sort of upgrades. He's helping on both sides quite nicely though. These elephants are nice units, but they are not upgraded at all. So that's not going to be very well for him. But these mercenaries, Ogineni is going to be able to make mercenaries from very close, and that's going to be very hard to defend against. In the meantime, I'm still pushing, but the rack is coming in. And as I saw the boulder, I started towering up here at least a bit. This is not the best position for the palace. And I might want to retreat for a bit here actually, because this is a last fight. And I should be switching to Fanatics. Yes, okay, I switched to Fanatics. Pretty good. And the TC from Sherlock in the meantime is going to be falling. So how is his upgrades coming in? Probably not too much. No, nothing at all really. That's rough. And I'm getting more and more double bronze, 1 copper. And the rack is falling quite fast, because he doesn't have too many ups as well. The bronze shields will help with the Arcus quite nicely though. So we are going to be pushed back a bit, but him being on 1 TC, I don't really think he can recover from rack that well. And his friend here being mostly dead, I think this game is not going to last for a whole lot longer at this point. This poor Argus is not going to survive for a long time. So tower's coming up with the Migdol, or rather Palace, quite nicely assisting in the fight. And we are going to be able to defend this rack just fine. Because the rack, is he actually... Let me check. Yeah, he's actually almost back on his old pop limit. So this is everything he still has. This is like everything he has. So as soon as that runs out, I don't think he's gonna be in that good of a position. He's trying to build up here, but I'm kind of thinking it's too little too late. Ogineni taking Sherlock's base TC. Yeah, he's pretty much gone at this point. And I don't really see how Berengella is gonna have enough of an impact on both sides really. He at least has some upgrades by now, but still no line upgrades. So that's going to be a pretty big problem for him. With more Arguses coming in, as I like to do versus Fire Giants. They did manage to delete my Migdol though. Or Palace, I mean. Okay, so these Myrmidons are just gonna die. Wrong place, wrong time. And I decided to retreat from the looks of it. Probably to gather up some new units. I wanted to push on this side. And I'm fighting here too. These guys should probably be helping here. Okay, one Argus down. Yeah, this is exactly why the Lampedes are better than the Argus against the Fire Giants. They don't even come that close really. If they're path blocked. It seems like I'm making some drives and I'm gonna be fine nonetheless. This is all he has, so he can't really do anything. And the mercenaries here are fighting it off. But with the Son of Osiris being alive, everything is dying very fastly at this point. Does he have some nice upgrades actually at this point? Go iron and bronze. And he might actually have... Okay, so bronze weapons as well, so he's nicely upgraded. And for me, I'm on full iron at this point. And Mapley is going to be realizing that he can't recover anymore after that rag. He's not going to get the opportunity to revive himself on 1 TC. And everyone is going to be resigning at this point. In my memory, this game was actually a little bit closer than I thought it to be. But it was actually a pretty big massacre, really. With Eugenani winning very hard this side, me winning very hard this side. And Green nicely assisting with the Centaur raids, really. So yeah, as I said at the beginning, maybe this was not the most balanced game since we had Eugenani. As I said, Mapley and me are usually, not always, usually we're sort of even when we play against each other. But yeah, the other guys were worse than the guys on our team, I think so. But it was still a nice game nonetheless. And quite nicely booing from me actually. Taking my time, I wasn't really worried about pushing too much really. I just made like 5 Murmillo, only wanting to defend my own boom really. And having quite nice upgrades, so... Yeah, let's have a look at the post game. So we can see Eugenani being at the top score, which makes sense. He did a very good job there on the side. And me being a close second, being at the top of the scoreboard for a long time in the game. Especially because of the economy and the improvements. So let's have a look at this. I may have wanted to get a little bit more trade going actually. 33, that's not too much. I did still have gold mine control, I'm thinking. Let me check. Was I still mining actually? Yes, I was still mining. So that's probably why I didn't have too much trades, but it would have been a bad idea, I think, to get a little bit more trade going as soon as the gold would expire. So military, pretty decent ratio for Mapley actually, considering the rack, because the rack counts in the losses. So excellent ratio here for Eugenani, very well played. And sadly it's kind of the opposite for Berengella and for Sherlock, sadly for them. Mine was decent too, but not as great as Eugenani's ratio. You can see the archaic TC here, similar timings for me and Sherlock on the heroic, and a very fast mythic for me here. I think 40 minutes, it doesn't really count as a fast mythic, but it is definitely a reasonably fast mythic. And we see Eugenani and me being quite nicely upgraded, both of us. Okay, so we see the Guardians of Io here, Centaur, Scorpion Man, kind of what you would be expecting to see from everybody. Except for Sherlock, I would have expected him to make a few more birds or yeah, birds would be pretty nice actually. Birds or satyrs if he wanted to go that way. Okay, so population after the racket dropped quite quickly for them. And as you guys can see, wait, let me... Okay, so you can see the 2TC eco really kicked in here for me. Getting a huge advantage. How big was the rag actually? Can I see that? Okay, so about 84 to 4. So that's 80 rag at 20 minutes. I mean, it's an okay rag, but I think that you can have higher at 20 usually. Probably that's because he only had like the 2TC and he kind of had to panic rag because he was getting destroyed. So I guess that makes sense. But usually you want to have a little bit more if you ragged pretty late into the game, with more upgrades usually. Okay, so the military units here. Okay, so he actually had 0 units at that point, because he got 84. That was like everything of him. We can see quite nice armor use by me and Urgeneni in there. And as you guys can see, I really didn't make much units until like 10 minutes. That was where I actually first started making a decent amount of units. I didn't do anything prior to that really, just a few units to defend myself. Medium or Milo, they can defend quite nicely, so I was kind of fine doing that. Resources very high for Pink actually. He should be spending it a whole lot more, or giving it to his teammates. I think I should have done it as well, by the way, the giving it to my teammates part. I did ask them, I remember, if they needed anything, but they said nothing back, so I decided to keep it for myself then, in order for bad times to come. But maybe I should have just sent it nonetheless, because I had like huge piles stacked up. And I couldn't really spend it anymore myself, because I already had all my upgrades really, and the ones I didn't have were coming up, so yeah, so we can see quite nice boom here by me, but you can see the Egyptian late game economy kicking in. So he actually got very close to me in economy in the end. But you can see the 3TC boom here, it's just a huge difference compared to the others. Especially Green, who should have boomed a bit more, I feel. He didn't really make too many units. So he could definitely be faster on his heroic timing. Even though Greek is fine to stay in classical for a bit longer, but he could be faster on his heroic timing, or go for 3 TCs and boom, because this is not the eco you want to be having really. Okay, so I guess that was it. Definitely a nice game I'd like to share with you guys. The last one of the current stack, but I'm sure that there will be more fun games to cast very soon. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. And see you guys next time. GG.